Continuing with the California Dharma class script. This now it's down to the marvelous scripture. Okay, so the marvelous scripture. These last few Dharma classes, it's been the words are from the Tao Te Ching. Okay, so and this one is very. This one is pretty clear in this one. All right, so here's where it starts off. The first part is from the Eight Immortals, the Hashengu. Okay, so he says the cultivator's heart and mind is bright and clear, striding forward in accordance with the marvelous aim or essence of Tao. Right. So, as a cultivator, if we're following the Tao, the true essence of Tao, the true principles of Tao, that is, that's the bright path, and the Tao itself is this brightness within us. If we're following the Tao, then it's following our Buddha nature, following our true nature. That's basically, that's this what we consider this brightness. Okay, we call it this brightness, and there's also a clarity, right? So it's like a wisdom that's within, right? Okay, so those who can understand the truth is very fortunate indeed, breaking through or surmounting life's obstacles and adversities. So and then he'll go into what those are, but obviously, a lot of people, they think they know the truth, they know knowledge, right? They have a lot of knowledge, they think they know the truth. Truth as far as science is concerned, right? Science knows a lot of things about the universe, but still, that's not the ultimate truth, right? In the Tao, when we're studying the Tao, we learn more about the ultimate truth. The truth, which is, you can say a spiritual truth, the ultimate truth, that goes beyond just the physical reality, because the physical reality is what science talks about. But so this, you can say, it's like metaphysics, going beyond the science, going beyond the quantifiable, the measurable. Okay, so that is, not too many people pursue that. Yeah, you can say people are spiritual, those who believe in the soul, the spirit, and afterlife, and all that. That's a step in the right direction. But we also need to understand the principles of the Tao. Everything is based on these principles, or you can say they're natural laws, or things like that. That we need to understand those. Okay, and so these obstacles that we have are, in this world, the world is full of things that can interest us, that can distract us, right? So these become obstacles, and then also our own attachments, our own emotions, feelings. Those can also be obstacles for us, because those kind of lead us towards the material things, the things that we can see, the forms, and that's kind of leading us away from the true spirituality, right? Okay, so then he goes on. He says there's so much rivalry in the world, so much contention that never ends, right? So people always pursuing a lot of these things because people are striving for these material things, fame, wealth, material things. These are all, or power, right? So there's always a struggle. There's like a struggle. People, they're competing against each other, and then the competition can be more than it may not be friendly. Okay, so people can fight and kill for what they want. So that's there's all this rivalry and stuff like that, the contention, and it never ends, right? You can say it's human nature, right? This is human nature. When we study. Actually, if we want to understand ourselves, we understand human nature. We understand human nature, we can understand how people behave, right? Okay, so, that's this world. Okay. All right, so not yet awake, we are so engrossed in this world, okay? In the end, we still end up with nothing. So we we become, you can say we almost become addicted to the things in this world, right? Whether it's addicted to the food or interests or, games, all sorts of things. We become so, involved in it, and we can't, it's almost an obsession, okay? But, in the end, after all this, and, these things, we, definitely, when we leave this world, there's nothing left. I mean, there's nothing, we can't take anything with us. Plus, a lot of these things are also, the human heart is very finicky, right? It's changeable all the time. We may have an interest today, and we're very obsessed in doing it, and then, a month later, a year later, we might change our mind, we might change. So things constantly changing too. So anyways, in the end, it's not real, it's not true in that sense, that it's not eternal, it's not something that you have forever. Okay. And so we should know that myriad forms are all illusions, right? Are there any objects that are immutable, unchangeable? Okay, so everything, all the forms that we see in this world, even the hardest substance known to man, diamonds, right? Diamonds, they say diamonds are forever, but really, diamonds can be destroyed too, right? They were created, right, through pressure and heat. Carbon becomes diamonds under the right conditions, but diamonds can also be destroyed. I mean, if the planet gets destroyed, they'll be gone too. So there's nothing that can last forever. Everything's always changing, subject to change in this universe. Okay, all forms are subject to change. Right. Okay, so self-reflection and self-awareness gives us the power. We must be engaged in creating a life of beauty and kindness. Right. So instead of looking out in this world, we see all these things and pursue all these things outside. We need to look within us. Right. Within, see that truth that's within us. See the true nature that's within us. Okay, so that is what, through self-reflection, through our self-awareness, mindfulness, we can try to understand ourselves, see ourselves, right? If we can see that Buddha nature within us, see the Buddha within us, then we are, essentially, we can become awakened and enlightened. Okay, so through our self-awareness, mindfulness, following what's proper, what our conscience, right? Our conscience is part of our Buddha nature. That tells us what's proper, what's the right thing to do. And if we can follow that in our daily lives, then we can create a life of beauty and kindness. Our Buddha nature, our conscience is very kind, very merciful, compassionate, has no discrimination, right? No biases, treats everyone as equals, treats everyone with respect, all living beings. And so if we follow that, then obviously life will be great, beautiful, right? Our state of mind can overcome all circumstances. A virtuous person's future prospects are full of joy. So again, everything is in the mind. Okay, everything starts in the mind and really ends in the mind. So, we try to seek changes. We try to change our environment, change everything around us. But really, what we need to do is change our mind. Okay, if we can change and control our mind, then everything else will go along with that. All right, so there's no need to try to change the external things. To our way of thinking, our likes and dislikes. Well, those are, first of all, those are all, likes and dislikes. That's not part of our Buddha nature. I mean, that's part of our, human nature, the things because of our attachments that we picked up in this world. So going back to our Buddha nature, our true nature, that is, if we can follow that all the time, the mind of a Buddha, a compassionate mind, a kind mind, then we can overcome anything really. If you put your mind to it, right? There's Where there's a will, there's a way. The power of the mind is cannot be underestimated, right? So even the Buddhas, physically they're no different, right? An enlightened being is no different physically than us, right? So like the Buddha or even Jesus, they're not physically they're the same, and yet it's the only difference is you can say it's that power within, that mind, okay? What they can do, they can perform miracles. That Buddha nature, if we let that Buddha nature, it can do amazing things, okay? But we have to let it. Don't restrict it because of our, all of our, emotions, our attachments, all those things. They restrict our Buddha nature. They prevent our Buddha nature from really manifesting itself fully. Okay. So when our true self is the master, right, our heart and mind is without afflictions. And even more so, it's without a cantankerous and resentful disposition. So we won't be complaining all the time. There are many things in life that we deal with that may not be to our liking, or we complain about stuff. But the true self, or that Buddha nature, that true self within us, if it's in charge, then it doesn't complain, right? There are no sufferings, no vexations, no faults. These are all part of our, you can say the human nature and all the attachments that we've gotten that cause that. So if we return back to our true self, our Buddha nature, our conscience, follow our conscience, then there is ultimately at that point, we've given up on that, you can say that false self, okay, that idea of, this is me, okay, so whenever there is a me, then obviously that me can be affected, okay, if there's no me, then there's nothing to affect, right, so the world around us cannot affect us, so we will not get angry if, someone does something or they insult us, because there's no me to be insulted, right? So once that ego, right? That's what we call the ego. So we can get rid of the ego, then there's, it doesn't matter, right? And then we can actually thank the other person for helping us to burn off some of our karmic debts from their insult. Okay, so that's the ultimate level. But so that's kind of, we're trying to get to that level. It's very hard. It's like peeling the layers of onion, trying to peel it all the way down to the inside, and there's nothing left. That's getting rid of all of our attachments, all these things, biases. That's the process of this cultivation or becoming enlightened, right? Okay, so all right, here we go. The pure and tranquil, bright wisdom within is echoed in a non-motivated action. It brings forth awakening, right? So that Buddha nature, that conscience within, has the ultimate wisdom. It has the ultimate wisdom, and obviously, if we're following that conscience, following that wisdom, following that Buddha nature, then what we perform, our conduct, our actions are all based on what we call wu-wei, or non-motivated action. It's not non-action. It's action it's based on, you can say, the true principles of the Tao, like for example compassion, the unconditional principles, okay, of the truth. Okay, so. And when we do that, when we follow this type of non-motivated action, then there's no bias to the actions, there's no attachments to the actions, right? So as a result, we don't create karma, right? Karma is the result of biased actions, or, basically it's like selfish, all right? If there's a self, we create karma too, all right? So we can create karma. And so having this non-motivated action is, we don't create karma. We do it because it's the right thing to do. We do it for the benefit of others. All right. Okay. So that is the path. So we have to practice that. That is the path to awakening, to ultimate enlightenment. Um, basically the practice is to let go of that self, let go of that ego. If we can do that, then we become selfless. When we are selfless, then we are one with everyone. We are one with everything, the universe. Okay, so that's that's what the Buddhas they are. They're one with all of nature. Okay.
I came across something, and they interpret ego as the edge got out. The edge got out.
Edge.
EDG.
Oh, edge.
Edge got out.
Edge got out.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Ego.
Got out.
Yeah. It's like to push out God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, right. Because we think that we're, we're great, right? But actually, God is within us. Okay, it's that Buddha nature within us is part of God. But then we create this thing called this ego, which then tries to take charge, right? Become the master. But that's it's kind of backwards. Okay, it's like the tail wagging the dog. Okay, so all right. So heaven bestows a mission or mandate on those who study the principles and cultivate.
One note here from the immoral girl. She said one thing because as you said, every minute, every moment, if we can use the Buddha nature to manage in our daily life, then we will not have that upset, angry, anger, all those stuff in ourselves. Then those habits, bad habit will be gone by itself. So that's why she reminds us every day our mindset got to be good, positive thinking. Because when we think about that, when we do that, wherever we go, every place is like heaven. So if we are not happy deep inside, doesn't matter where we go, it's like a hell everywhere. So that's the mindset we can maintain and also control our mindset very critical. So she reminds us every day our bad habit, get rid of all those bad habits and bad habits we have. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that, if you obviously do the right thing, then do it without, attachment, without emotion, without all that, then it's really, gradually you can say then you kind of let go of the other stuff, let go of the temper and things like that, right? But it kind of goes together. But so yeah, that's right. I mean, it's so anyways, we always have to be mindful, be aware of what we're saying, what we're doing, and also especially what we're thinking. A lot of times we think things that are not proper, but because other people, we didn't say it out, we didn't do it. Maybe we think no one knows, but we know, right? That Buddha nature knows. Heaven knows. All the Buddhas know, right? They all know. So that's very important that we realize that, and so always try to be mindful of that. That we don't think improper thoughts. Okay.
For example, like Buddha, the immoral land knows she comes far away.
Yeah.
How does she know? They all knew. Okay, they knew that. She came from US to Taiwan, right? Right? Buddha knows she came from far away. So every minute they know even what we thought. They record it down. Every thought we did, we had, good or bad, record it down. So we got to be careful.
Yeah.
In the absolute heaven, everything is okay. In the absolute heaven, everything is presented as energy. So a thought is an energy. God, Buddhas in sense can perceive what's in our mind because when we have a thought, it radiates, an energy.
Let me say one thing. I was talking in the Chinese class. There's one the natural fund. He was broke. The longevity sense took him to the heaven. So explained to him. So he went to see the building There's one building with 3 floors, with all the merits we have there. In these 3 floors, 3 stores building, all the merits we are there. So longevity sense ask him, say, go to get your book of the merits you have. Go to get your book. So he get his merit book, see what he has done, good thing, okay? Then after he saw all the good things he have done, turn around, go to get a book, which he have all the faults. Those, the other side, this is one building, 3 floors, right? And turn around the other 3 buildings, 3 floors each building. So all the faults for all the sentiment being have done. So non-sympathy sense, go to get a book you have for yourself. He turned around, started to read his book. He said, oh no, all the little thing he thought was recorded down. Let me make one example. He used to work in Taipei, in Taiwan. He liked the transmitter and some members there. They deal with in very pleasant way together. But once he transferred to the South Taiwan, he didn't like it. He didn't like certain people. Inside he was start didn't want to go to the temple, and it was recorded down. Okay, was recorded down. What do you thought? Okay, and even he was start get arrogant and upset. It was recorded down. Okay, so he didn't notice that. Wow, what he saw was in the book. Okay, his fault. Okay, and then one story happened there. He said there's one item there. Say this person should receive a Tao, ready to receive Tao, but it didn't bring him to receive Tao. This person is his fault too. And then this person will receive a Tao, might have a chance to receive a Tao in 10 lives later. In 10 lives later. Even recorded there. And then it also one of his faults. So it's interesting, right? We don't even know, right? So he saw all the faults he had. And it's the 3 building. Each building has 3 stores. And turn around, merit side, only 1 building. So we always think we have more merits than faults. It's the reverse.
Yeah, we have more kind of improper or bad thoughts than we have good thoughts. So, and that's yeah. Yeah, ultimately, it's how we control our mind, how our mind is. That's everything is a reflection of our mind. Okay, so this reality is, how we perceive reality. It's all in the mind. Okay. So, all right. So heaven, gives a mission or a mandate to those who study the principles and cultivate. So the people who have taken this path, throughout the ages of this cultivation, seeking the Tao, seeking the truth, cultivating, becoming like a Buddha, bodhisattvas, right? So they have this mission, right? So the virtues of excellent character will never subside, right? So as long as we have that sincerity, right? That sincerity is very important. That sincerity to cultivate, to do what's proper, do what's right, for the benefit of others, right? Benefit of all sentient beings. That the virtue, right? Earlier it says all the things that we can accumulate, we can't take with us. We lose it out at the end. But virtue is something we always have. It's ours. Okay. So once you can say we earn it. I mean, we develop that virtue. It's ours. It's always with us. Okay. We keep that. So that's So we should always, but make sure that we don't kind of lose. I mean, we can lose our virtues too if we start doing things we shouldn't do, or getting angry, when we shouldn't, and all these things that can kind of essentially reduce our virtues. So, but that's self-caused. Okay, we do that to ourselves, and we cannot blame anyone. Right? So, just like no one else can take credit for us having the virtue. We cannot blame anyone for losing our virtues. Okay, so it's all within our own control. Okay, all right. So mercifulness or benevolence and gentleness can transform the unyielding. Right, heaven and earth, spirits and deities will perceive this utmost excellence. In this Western, you can say Western thought, Western society, it seems to be all about strength, external, appearance, appearing strong. But these are all like either physical or material strength, right? But ultimately, those are what appears to be strong and hard, right? Is actually can be overcome by the soft, okay, and the weak, right? So like, okay, like I said, diamonds are hard, okay, obviously, but most things that are hard can be eroded by what? Wind and water. Those are very soft.
Just compare our tongue and our teeth.
Right.
Just look at our tongue and teeth. Which one goes first?
Hard things that are hard, right?
Yeah. So they teach us.
Well, in Tao Te Ching, the one of the key principles or themes is that I forgot what chapter. It's in the earlier chapter, earlier section. It says, "What is soft is alive. What is dead is hard." so no, when people die,
it's
stiff,
stiff.
right? So anything that's soft, when a baby's born, very
it's
soft.
soft.
Right? no. Look at a plant, a tree, a plant growing. It's
Soft.
I mean, it's pliable. It's but look at a twig,
Or
dead
dead.
twig or branch, dry branch. It's hard, right? Snap. So that's a very interesting concept. It just means that it doesn't mean that hard is necessarily dead, but it just means that is tending towards that direction, okay? And that everything's subject to change. That's the most important thing. I mean, later on in this scripture, that the principle is always, nothing is permanent, right? Nothing's permanent. And what's hard can be overcome by soft. And what's soft can be overcome by hard too. It's really two-way. It's really a two-way street. That it's really part of it. The diagram, the hexagram, the Tai Chi hexagram. It's really following that principle that when you have maximum yang, right, the peak yang ji, there is still a bit of yin in there. It's not absolute. And then when you reach a maximum yin, there is a bit of yang. So that just means that it's relative. That everything flows. Everything flows.
One thing the Buddha talked about this Dharma class this time, he said whoever had a very bad temper, usually in their life, they don't have good ending. Usually. You just pay attention in the future. Usually when people are angry, upset, always emotion upset, they usually don't have a good ending in their life. Okay, that's what Buddha teachers say this time. Okay, so I heard that. So, yeah, okay. The other thing, like you said, yeah, that's karma, but they also
You're creating negative.
Yeah,
like
so
negative
the
chi.
teacher said, tell us, guys,
Be
you
careful.
gotta control your emotion and temper. If you bad temper, your life could be any different. And, and second thing is, like you said, look at grass and also flowers. Which one lasts longer? Why? Very low profile, right? Then those flowers look shining, like in our daily life society. I'm the king, I'm the one, right? And the one at first could be disordered.
When you reach the peak, you're going to decline.
And then this grass always low profile, very soft. You know what? They last forever, longer, everywhere, right? So let's teach us a lot of philosophy in our life. How do we deal with things? Interesting thinking mindset.
Yeah.
That's nature's principle.
Yeah, right.
So Lao Tzu,
Human,
yeah. Well, since this scripture is really focused on
Right,
Tao Te Ching a
right.
lot. I mean, I use a lot of Tao Te Ching verses, especially in the end. But that's the principle of Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu, he's a sage. He's wise. So he's a patriarch too of the Tao. But so he noticed, this is how the nature or world is. And that's what Tao Te Ching essentially is.
Talks
talking
about
principles.
nature.
And so we humans, being part of that, right, a part of the nature, we also have to follow that principle, right? So we can't be arrogant, right? Even the Bible says, right, pride cometh before a fall, right? I mean, so, nothing's permanent. So you can be strong now, yeah. You're gonna last 100 years? No, right? So everything, and same thing, if you look at apply, that's humans, okay, nature. You apply to man-made institutions too. Economy, countries. Huh? No country is going to be a superpower forever. So the U.S. better watch out. They're not going to be a superpower forever. It's impossible. That's going against nature. That's going against the principle of nature. Right?
Against the
you
universal laws.
can't. But there is a way, but it's a different way, okay? And it's really...
You have something to say?
No, yeah, well, I was just adding on that against the universal laws, but no, I just have a question in general, since we're talking about what are the right things to do in life, right? And this is all beautiful, right? To the wisdom to be given out, right? But I have a question as somebody that is learning a lot. I want to know the technique. Why? We were talking about anger, right?
Yeah.
Lots of us, we get angry, but that's not a result because we're like bad people, right? Maybe in the past we were damaged a lot, we were hurt, right? And at the time, while those things were happening to us, at the time we weren't lucky enough for the wisdom and knowledge to be given to us. So it resulted later on as we grow, right? We have a certain way of reacting to certain things without having any bad intentions, right? But my thing is this: what's the ultimate technique? What's that key that well, we know, right? To know what's right or wrong, to learn the scripture, to know all these things. But what is the action, the right action that will actually not just to do it as the sake of just doing it in a mechanical way, but just what is the action at the same time while we do it is just like helping us to realize as faster as we can.
That's you got a very good question.
You understand what I'm trying to say, right?
You have a very good question. You want to comment?
That's to burn karma really fast.
We're going to comment.
Yeah.
You got a very good question. That's how do we apply those? Okay, how do we deal with it?
It's not easy, obviously.
Of course not.
But I think that there are a couple ways. I think, there are a couple ways, but the generic, or you can say general ways, the reason why we learn all these theories, you can say theories, principles, whatever, is to keep that in mind so that when a situation like that you mentioned arises, we are constantly aware. We learn something. We say, wait a minute, I learned about this class saying that, we have to keep a calm mind, all that stuff. So when the situation arises, you already have a automatic, I don't say it's a fail-safe system. It's like a warning, alarm that tells you, let me not react right away. I mean, it's not easy. So it takes practice. So that's one way. Okay, another way, other people, they'll try to develop a kung fu or a skill. You can say a skill. And so what they do is they meditate. They like to meditate.
Yeah.
And so the idea is that the meditating is helping them to calm their mind, so that whenever they encounter anything, they can reach that meditative
But there's
state
such a
and not
thing
be
too as a right and wrong meditation. Many people meditate, but
yeah,
they're not
that's true
actually
too.
meditating.
Let's come back to that.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing in reversal law is fair. We always see it not fair. This person is rich, this people is poor, this people is wealthy, whatever.
We face that every day.
That's universal law. What happened? Because was there someone, how can the person attack me, criticize me so much, maybe hurt me so much? Holy teacher and the Buddha said, in the previous life, we did the same thing back to them too. We did to them too. So they just pay us back. That's cause and effect then. Sometimes we didn't know that.
So
Okay?
basically, every time we get hurt, nothing is unfair. Everything is
It happened
deal.
before.
It's a balance, right? We're just paying for everything that we did in the past.
Yeah, and then the other thing come back here. When we deal with this kind of situation, we are happily accept the consequence.
Happily accept the consequence.
Then tell
I like
us,
that.
I'm going to end this karma. I might have a bad karma with the person previously. We're going to end this bad karma in this lifetime. We're not going to continue.
That's the idea.
But the other thing is, if I'm get upset, angry, say I'm going to get back to this person, you know what happened?
Continue.
The karma will continue even in the future lives too. Not just this
Of
lifetime.
course.
We might come back together for the future lives.
Yeah.
Together again.
Uh-huh.
So that's one thing. The other thing, teacher always remind us all the time, even the grand teachers always remind us. Because they did a mistake. Without bad people, you will not show, you will not know all of you are good people. All of us are good people.
That's
We
true.
got to thank you them because we become good people. Without bad people, there's no good people. So we got to thank you them for that. And the third thing is that when Jesus always said that when people criticize us, even say something bad about us, I say thank you. You reduce my bad karma. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah,
We should say thank you to them. You reduce my bad karma in my life. Okay? You already come down and reduce the bad karma. So even Jim transmitter, we have senior transmitter say today, give us the book today, he showed me. Our teacher said, whoever attended Dharma class, they reduce their 200 disasters in their life.
Wow.
We might have so many karma, bad karma, disasters
I
going
know.
to happen to us, but whoever attended Dharma class, the Buddha reduced 200 of them.
Like the Dharma class, like the one today, right?
No, going to be in November 14th.
Oh, November
No,
15th.
that 2 day, the 2 day.
2 day.
Dharma class. The Buddha reduced 200.
Does that include all the staff members every time?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, everybody. So they reduced
So
200 of
everybody
them.
should be here for
Yeah.
every Dharma.
So on the book, the teacher said, our holy.
One more.
Go ahead.
It also helps take care of 1/3 of the illnesses that we have.
Yeah, and that's one the other point. Because if we get sick, right, they reduce 1/3 of the illness we have in our body. When we attend Dharma class, we reduce 1/3 of the illness. That's a good point. Yeah. That's very good. Yeah, let's talk about it. But reduce 1/3 of the illness we have in our body. Can I imagine that, right? That's nice. So, you already have it. You already have it. Could be, yeah. So reduce bad karma.
Yeah, so there are different ways, right? So one way is looking at through karma. That's true. I mean,
Happen for a reason.
yeah, I mean, so, but it's not, we still have to have a little wisdom.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
still have to apply wisdom, right? So it's not like to say, oh, this guy's going to kill me, so maybe I deserve to die. So you can't, you can't be totally passive. See, once again, even in Tao Te Ching later on, and also in the Buddhism, right, the middle way, it's not, and Confucius, it's not to be fall into either extreme, because we tend to do that, right? So we have to be careful. So you have to use your wisdom too. So the whole idea, and wisdom is not like I can give you a book, or I can give you a videotape and say, you watch this, you read this, and you'll have 100% wisdom. No, you can't do that. That's impossible, right? So the idea is that why do we have these classes? Is to help you
realize.
develop that wisdom, to have a light go on and say, hey, I have this wisdom, this somehow innate wisdom, God given, not intellect, right? So that will help guide me, so that you can control your temper, control your mind. That's the whole idea. Now, there's specific techniques, like I said, you can meditate and also that. Okay, yeah, you can realize karma, that's true, all that. But the idea is still wisdom. That's why we have these classes, is to help you really to develop your wisdom. Ultimately, you understand truth. But that's to help you understand that wisdom.
But come back to this point here. That's a good point there. Because when we're going to face a lot of things, difficulty, challenge in the society, in our daily life, in the family. But when something happens to us, we just need to calmly, softly, speak nicely to deal with each other. That's the wisdom. If somebody criticizes us or do something bad to us, we need to say something differently, very soft tone, very deep, to communicate.
That's right.
very skillful.
And there's another thing that I realized, like, that people get it wrong. Like, there are lots of people that actually stop doing their bad things and they start practicing and doing good things.
Yeah.
And then after a few months of doing good things,
They come back.
something bad happens to them, and they're like,
Yeah,
oh,
they
you
give
see
up.
all these
Yeah.
good things that I'm doing, now look what is happening, now I don't believe in those good things
No, I
anymore.
agree.
I do not want to meditate, I do not want to go to the temple because my life hasn't changed, I still don't have money. But you see, they keep forgetting the concept that you are still burning that karma. And you're going to get even more, as stronger as you get, you're going to get challenged even more.
That's a good point. That I think we said this class before. We had one lecture we said last week. These lectures, he dedicated to the temple so much. And he do everything.
Yeah.
However, he had an auto accident, and then he did the surgery open up here,
Yeah,
whole
right.
area, okay?
Yeah.
And then that's why I said, this the longevity sense had taken to the heaven. Tell him what happened. In previous life, he killed 3 people. 3 people. And then 2 of them he killed them. And one of them he
Strangle.
Strangle them.
so this lifetime he got an accident. And then what happened? He got a surgery here.
Injuries,
Keep
yeah.
doing that. Then the Buddha told him he's supposed to die 3 times to pay back these 3 lives. Those people, you kill them, those spirits, 3 spirits, they're under the world for 300 years to suffer. They come out after 300 years, they're chasing you, they're waiting for you. However, the first 8 years, you're in the temple every day, but so busy in the temple, so they couldn't do anything to you. By the time you go to South Jersey in Taiwan, you just relax. So, oh, I don't need to go to the temple. They cut you. So that's what happened to you. You got an accident. They are waiting for that moment for 308 years.
Wow.
Yeah, but that story illustrates that even in karma, right? Yeah, whatever you did, yeah. So in this lifetime, well now, in this lifetime, you're going to get back at you. But you can still deflect it or kind of like ward off with merit. So that's like, going to the temple or, doing, helping others. You can still kind of, deflect it or reduce it. You can say mitigate.
That's what happened.
Make it less.
What happened? Buddha did to him. Because he's supposed to die 3 times, 3 lifetimes, right? Buddha said, you're going to suffer 3 days to make up for these 3 lives you're going to have. He suffered 3 days, just always suffering. Every 2 hours, doctor has to replace it. He suffered 3 days for these 3 lifetimes.
Wow.
That's because he calculated. That's how lucky we are. 3 days for 3 lives.
Continuing on, okay, so it says maintain a calm heart and mind in the turmoil and chaos. With sincerity comes tranquility, right? So no matter what's going on around us, always remain that calm composure within. And even, if we can maintain that calm composure, then hopefully we don't also create emotional chaos within us too, okay? That we don't let emotions get out of control, things like that. Right, so always maintaining that calmness, tranquility within, right, and it also, having that sincerity, that brings that tranquility as well. That's very important in cultivation. It's not, maintaining that calm. It's like that water being very still, right? There's clarity there. Okay, that wisdom is there, right? So we don't stir it up. Okay. Then it says. Okay, a person in accordance with or not departing from the Tao is in harmony with their heavenly nature. Okay, therefore, maintaining an even temperament and tranquility. Is that missing something? I don't know. And calmness of heart.
Second one is the result
Of the
first.
first.
Yeah.
Thus maintain.
Yeah. Therefore is not the right.
Thus,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, therefore. Oh, right. Okay, I read it the wrong way. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So. Right. So if we obviously follow the Tao, follow that Buddha nature, follow our conscience. That is the heavenly nature. That is the true nature, if you will, that of our true nature that we're following. Obviously we're in harmony with that, and harmony with all of nature. So the Tao Te Ching describes you can say nature as it is, the principles of nature, and so we follow that, and we'll be in accordance with that. Our temperament, of course, control our emotions, control our anger. Then we have that we'll have that calmness within. Okay. So no need to be extremely knowledgeable of this secular world. No need to be overly competitive and always seeking gains. Right. Unfortunately, in the Western education system, the Western thought, it's all about this.
Even the Eastern too.
Well, okay, now I guess they're following now, but yeah, it's all about seeking knowledge, gaining, right? Things,
We
winning.
also must win.
Yeah, always winning.
We meet colleagues or at school,
Yeah.
some classmates, they always must win an argument. I mean, they're always right, or they're always right. They're always right, they're never wrong.
Yeah.
They always argue with you. I mean,
Yeah.
some people don't like that.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
Or-
That's like type A personality, they
Yeah.
say,
Very-
like people work in Wall Street, they have to be competitive.
Very
They have to-
aggressive.
They always have to win, otherwise,
Well,
that it's like the end of the world.
Right.
It's scary, and
Yeah, it's-
unfortunately, our society tends to reward those because it's those type of people who make the most money, who has the most power, the most ego, it's kind of, it's sad, in a way it's sad, in a way it's sad. And that's where we have the haves and the not haves, and that's where we have disparities, and that's where we have friction. That's where we have friction, unfortunately.
So if we follow the way of, the Lao Tzu and the Tao, then it's kind of the opposite of that. It's not pursuing all those things that these guys are pursuing, and as a result of their pursuing it, their other people are suffering maybe because of that. Because they're only benefiting really themselves, and so it's okay to have a kind of a competitive spirit if that kind of pushes you along to improve, to get better. But you don't want to take that too far, right? Take it too far.
Yeah,
and
see, so
don't-
let's get neither extreme.
Right.
But the key is you can say you could be competitive in the sense that we always seek to make ourselves better,
Yeah.
okay, but not at the expense of others.
Right.
See, that's the give and take. So later on,
Yeah.
it has to talk about give and take, right? You can't seize before you seize. Before you can gain, you have to give, right? So that's something so it's like middle path. You can say in Buddhism, we call it, that's the middle way. In Confucius too, the middle way. So we have to be mindful, right? You can be competitive in the sense that you can always ask more of yourself, right? Ask more of yourself. In that respect, you're competitive.
Yeah.
Okay. But never contend with others, right? That's the outside, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be mindful, So and also, forget about the four images, right? The 四相, right? 四相, right? 我相,
三心，
no,
三心四相。
我相, right? 人相, 正身相, and 手相. That's the four images, right? That's the ego. Ego's the first one. Personality, well, they translate ego, personality, being life, whatever. But so we gotta be careful about that. So we gotta, unfortunately, when we compete, it's ego. It's all ego and you, me against you, or we against them. And that's, we fall into that trap. So it's not easy, I agree, but unfortunately, today's society, we tend to, stress all that. We tend to emphasize competition. Capitalism. Competition is good for you. It's true. It is true. But when companies compete, consumers gain, obviously, right? Because you can get the lowest price or best bargain. Yes, to a degree, but we also have to be careful. It's not that it's evil, but it's that we can only do it to a certain degree. Okay, so that's important.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Competition, because what about if your job is to compete? Every day you have to win, like me. I'm not
What kind of
trendy.
job?
I'm not trendy. Every day I have to win the case. Right?
Okay.
I mean, it's not, I understand it's not easy, but I have to and I want to. And I want to, right now I want to have the biggest law firm in Chinese legal community. I just like, I compete with the opposing counsel and my peers and my
For your job or is for your case?
case and job too. But the reason that I like to compete because I want to provide a good service for my clients, but also not just for my clients, and also my ego too. So that's why, and I want to come here and I just try to balance myself. It's why it just becomes my life. And I have to study and I have to get. I want to be extremely knowledgeable.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. For us, okay, we want to be the best in our field. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the best we can, okay? For all of us, we do the same thing, okay? But one thing always remember, it's always cause and effect there. Okay? Cause and effect. For example, let me give you one example. If I have a client, I'm just giving one. My client commit a crime. And I find a way that he or her escape that crime. get away from the crime.
Right.
Those person who got suffer, those spirits who got suffer, will chase after the spirit of my crime. Will chase my spirit in the future too. But even now, could be happen. So there is always cause and effect. So got to be very careful. Whatever we do, got like the natural type and the natural stock always put based on Buddha nature. We cannot do something. If it's not true, we cannot do it. It's for the legal, it's sometimes hard. Okay?
It's completely different.
I know.
way
That's why I
of
took it.
thinking.
I have a legal
Even for the crime.
for myself, very hard because I took a law class in the MBA school. Then it's hard because you defend your case. You find all the reason excuse to defend, right?
And we always talk
Yeah.
about second chance.
Yeah, but we always have to be careful. Always tell ourselves, man, there's always cause and effect. If my client got away, and for something he had done or she had done, we all have to pay. The client have to pay more, I have to pay less in the future life. It could be this lifetime, could be future. So it has to be based on the fact.
Well, I think you always have a choice. As a lawyer,
Yeah.
you can take the case or not. So depending on what you find out, let's say you find out that, well, this person really is guilty, but he doesn't want to plead guilty, then you can say, I can drop the case. I'm not going to take this case, right?
But I can say, how about the prosecutor? You did a bad job, and this is fair for the society. If you did a bad job to collect the evidence, then I'm not working for the client, and even my client is guilty, but I protect the legal system. Because you prosecutor, you did a bad job, and so as a lawyer, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
teach you.
So yeah. Right. Well, yeah. That's within the rules. Yeah.
That is true. That is true. But we have to be careful. We have to be careful. You can say, yeah, I'm following the rules. So technically, according to the rules, I'm not doing anything wrong. What we have to ask, and this is hopefully at a higher level, is that, yes, you're saying technically, ethically, I'm not doing anything wrong. But you have to ask yourself, is this worth it for you? Is it worth to go down this path and kind of almost like, you can say, going against your conscience, or that you know better, right? You know better, but going and putting that aside and saying, you know what? It's okay. I'm going to follow according to the rules, and I'm still going to get him off, or get my client off. You could do that. Technically, that's legal. Quote unquote, that's legal. But at what cost? You have to ask yourself, at what cost? At cost of, I am kind of deviating from my conscience, because you know. Now, another case can be say, oh, I only discovered this after, discovery, or after whatever, investigation. I found out my client really, lied or, lied to me. So therefore, I didn't know that client was guilty from the beginning. That's another story. But the point is, yes, you can do that. But the question is, at what cost? And each one of us have to answer to that.
How much willing to pay?
Right.
Come back to this question.
Realizing that there is going to be karma.
Yeah, let me put it straight for you. The Buddha taught us, once you become officer for the government, secretary officer, only some high position official, one lifetime you become officer, 9 lifetimes you will become cow. Cows. Why? Because I could make a mistake. I guess I could make a judgment call, make a mistake. What happened? I'm going to pay in the future life. That's the law, universal law. We cannot get away. We cannot get away. Okay? That's what Buddha taught us. I remember even because we have accounting people here. Okay? I remember the first thing that Buddha taught our lecturers. They own the accounting company. What did they tell them immediately? It's always cost and effect. Be careful. Because if somebody come to us, they say, oh, I want to report this to my, can you reduce my tax? Right? As an accountant, you try to help your client to reduce the tax. But sometimes the Buddha tell you, be careful. Is it true or not? If it's not true, you also have a very bad karma. Not just the person. We also have very
People
bad
finding
karma.
loopholes, right?
Right?
That's the problem.
So we always cause an effect.
Yeah, also understand.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
Buddha, Confucius, Lao Tzu, even Jesus, I mean, all
And
these
they're very careful.
not only that, but they never say, they never try to say, oh, in a perfect society, we follow these, we create such laws. Because they know that laws can have loopholes. As a lawyer, you know that. Absolutely. There are tons of loopholes. So, right. So therefore, it's not based on what? It's not based on actually morality. It's based on just rules. Certain rules that certain people set up. That's all. It's created by humans. But it's not perfect.
But yellow will come back here. Okay, we know we're gonna have karma, especially our profession. Certain professional, we're gonna have karma. Okay, but how we compensate the karma? Merit, credit, right? We need to do more on merit, credit, just in case we have a lot of bad karma that we need to cover for that. We need to do that to cover. Otherwise, when that bad karma come in and mature one day, like the other lecture, what happened? Big accident happened to the person, right? Karma mature. That's what happened. Okay? So always cause and effect. There's no. Buddha always tells us there's one rule in universal, very fair, cause and effect. Whatever we plan the seed in the previous life, even this lifetime, we have to pay this lifetime or future life. One important concept I speak in Chinese class last week. We do a lot of big karma over the last 60,000 years. A lot of cost is there, but those causes are not mature enough yet, so we didn't suffer the consequences yet. But once we started thinking, we have the mindset and think about this, that we have a thought. Those thoughts create affinity. Affinity combined with the cause, previous lives, combined, make it mature, and something will happen this lifetime too. But if we didn't thought about it, if I don't have a thought, those cause will not mature. So you know what happened? We will not suffer the consequence. 这个因没有成熟的时候，没有缘的时候，它就不会成熟。Okay? So we have to understand. So that's why teacher asked us what to do. Don't raise a sword, get rid of affinity. I didn't know why we had to do that. Because I was thinking, so why we have to not raise a sword, get rid of all the affinity. We said, okay, I just want to bring the Buddha nature out. More than that. The other concept is, okay, since some people come back already. In the previous lifetime, last 60,000 lives, 60,000 years, we make a lot of, we put a lot of big karma there. Those big karma, we did something. Those are causes. Those causes, we didn't touch them, will not mature. It will not mature. And once we have nothing to do, we start thinking mindset, a lot of affinities coming out. Maybe our thought, maybe wasn't something we did, and we create affinity. Then we link to our causes in the previous life. Causes and affinity in this lifetime will mature, something will happen. Okay? So if we don't have that affinities, therefore those causes we create in the previous life will not mature at all. So one thing teacher wants us to do that, get rid of all the affinity, do not raise one thought. What does that mean? When we don't raise a thought, we don't let that causes. We don't raise the affinity, those causes will not mature. So we won't suffer.
Can you repeat what we have to do? Because they just came in.
Okay. You want
Oh, me?
Get rid of how to yeah, that's good. Exercise for that.
Whenever we have a moment, whether you're standing, sitting, wherever you are, in the subway, at home, in bed, at the doctor's office, in school, whatever you're doing, take a few minutes, just focus and let go of all your affinity, okay? And don't let one single thought arise.
So hard.
This is a little different from meditation. What's different between this and meditation? Meditation is they do that anti-everything. This one is get rid of affinity, do not raise one thought. Our Buddha nature, our spirit stay inside, do not come out from our body.
That's the hardest thing to do.
Okay. But
From practice.
Yeah,
Okay, you could, in the beginning, it may be a few seconds, and then you start to get longer and longer in time.
Yeah. But this one thought is very, very important. Don't let the causes of previous lives mature, become consequence with the affinity we have this lifetime. So I didn't know that. I was reading last few weeks. I said, wow, this is the other concept. We didn't know that. So it's naturally always talking about.
Okay. All right, yeah, let's try to continue here. So it's the purity that is the innocence and kindness will naturally lead to a good reputation or leave behind a good reputation, right? So, that purity within us, that Buddha nature, the conscience, I mean, it's what we can think of as being innocent and kind, that true self, right? So that will, if we follow that natural, that purity, it will naturally lead to, we would have a good name, good reputation, because we'll be virtuous. Okay, so we look in history and we see these people throughout history who, what we consider to be very virtuous, right? They're very well known to us, thousands of years later, right? So they left a good name. So like Confucius, for example, even his, I think it's the 72nd generation after Confucius, people still very respect them a lot. Okay, so because why? Because he wasn't, not because he was wealthy or powerful. He wasn't neither of those. I mean, he was just very virtuous.
Yeah, I still saw his offspring. Every time I go to Taiwan, I saw him. He's
We
a
should
Chinese
take a
doctor.
picture of that.
Next time I tell him. He's
Okay.
a Chinese doctor.
All right. Okay, so that's the first half. Now the second half is composed by our holy teacher. So now he kind of gets more into the Tao Te Ching part of this. All right, so he says, must not be reckless and hope to get away with it. All right, rather we should exercise extreme caution and trepidation. So we shouldn't, whenever we do things, again, always be mindful, be aware of what we're doing, what we're saying, what we're thinking. Don't be just reckless, following emotions, following whatever attachments, or our natural biases or whatever, and hope to either try to get away with doing things like that, or trying to seek if we did something, try to seek some kind of I don't know, the help from heaven to reduce the consequences or whatever, right? So we should always be very careful, and realizing this karma is there, that we create karma, and whatever we're doing, then that there will be a consequence. Okay, so we should be very careful, exercise extreme caution, right? Okay, and then be vigilant. Okay, so as to not fall into that trap. We should let our conscience sparkle or let it shine. Okay, so again, let our conscience be our guide. Our conscience lets us know whether it's something we should do, we shouldn't do. Okay, obviously, if there are, the law of the land, the various laws, civil laws that we have. I mean, obviously, we have to follow those whether we agree with them or not. But that's part of what we call propriety, anyways. Okay, so it's following one of those principles, virtues. So don't. Yeah. So again, be very careful. Anytime we slip up and we do something we shouldn't, maybe this time we say, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But then, if you do that a lot, if we do it a lot, then it almost becomes habit, or we just don't think that it's not all that important to follow these, our conscience, later on. So that's why it becomes a trap. It's very dangerous, like a slippery slope. You start going down that path. So every little thing, we got to be careful. We always be mindful, be aware that we did something we shouldn't have done, and we correct ourselves. Okay, because it also accumulates too. Each time, right? Okay, so regularly draw lessons or learn from the past, the history. Okay, so heed the exhortations to nurture or maintain our wisdom. Right, so we can always learn from the mistakes from others, right? Or we also need to learn from our own mistakes, okay, from the past. All right, so things that we've done, obviously we can learn both from the good and the bad, right? So, but the important thing is that we learn from them and we don't repeat the bad ones, okay? So. All right, so and so that's the way we try to nurture our wisdom through that, right? So okay, we should be constantly awake or aware. Okay, our heart and mind will not become alarmed or startled if it is not attached to the illusory world, right? Because the world is constantly changing. All these forms are constantly changing. Things that we might become, feel like we have attachments to, constantly changing, and that can, you know, when that changes, the changes outside occur, then it affects our heart and mind, our emotions, right? That affects us. So ultimately, we have to kind of get to a level where we are unattached, not attached. And so when we are unattached, then we aren't affected by the changes in the outside world. Okay, so because our Buddha nature is constant, right? So we should always maintain that constancy of that, you know, the calmness within. All right. Okay, so that's again, it's you know, mindfulness, awareness. Okay, so if our heart and mind are rigid or inflexible and obsessive, right, we frequently sink into the mire, into the mud. If we do not understand the principles, then our heart and mind will be contaminated, impure, and unclear. Okay, so again, we don't, you know, to seek the truth, we have to be open-minded. In other words, very flexible, very being able to accept and being other people's views. Okay, because we may not necessarily have the true proper view, the right view. Okay, so everything, you know, being able to be flexible in that way. So if we are set on our own views, then we're stuck there.
Yeah,
Okay.
That we have attachment
Yeah.
to ourselves, then that's the problem we're going to have.
Yeah, so we have to ultimately we have to let go of those things, those attachments, even, not attachments to material things, but attachments to our concepts, our notions that we may have of right, maybe they're not always correct, so we have to let go of those notions too, right? Okay, so, all right. Our heart will shine only when we are free of attachments and forms. Okay, so yeah. Our spirit is focused, concentrated when our true nature manifests itself. Right, so again, letting go of attachments and all sorts of forms, then that true nature will reveal itself. That wisdom reveals itself. Okay. We will always be tranquil when we thoroughly understand this notion of subtle brightness or luminescence or clarity. We must hold fast to the supreme Tao. Okay, so this is all kind of talking about those two words in this marvelous scripture, the Wei Ming, which directly translates is twilight, but it's really about that subtle luminescence, subtle clarity, subtle wisdom, subtle brightness that's there. Okay, within the darkness, there's a little bit of that light, and it's so you might say, in the twilight, what is more powerful, the darkness or the light? That little light that's there. That light is very powerful. It allows you to see within that darkness. Okay, so that's the same as our Buddha nature. It's normally people when they show their ego, their emotions, their anger, all that. Their attachments, their biases, they're not revealing that Buddha nature, that light that's within there. So we see it's actually the darkness on the outside. Okay, so this, this is also referring to that brightness that's within us. All right. Okay, so to neither contend right and wrong, nor to take the evil path. Okay, the improper path. One who contains the brightness within. Is truly virtuous and outstanding, right? So that, despite, and also, this also means that we don't flaunt, ourselves. We don't say, "Oh, I'm so great, right? I'm so wise. I'm so knowledgeable. I can do all these things," right? That's being, then to start going into arrogance. But this brightness is subtle, all right? It's there, but it's very subtle on the outside, right? But yet we follow it. And as a result, we're very virtuous. Okay. All right. Let's see.
We should skip to the last.
Yeah. Okay. So now it's all right. Here's the last page. Right. All right. So in presenting false strength, right, pretending to be more than we're capable of, we overdo and lose our true self. Okay. So again, that's what I was just saying. And let it be etched in our whole body and mind that we must let go of entanglements. Nurture the middle way to return to the childlike innocence, innocent nature, true nature, pure nature, right? So the entanglements of this world, through our attachments. Okay, that kind of that's like the key, really. The key to becoming enlightened, we have to let go of these things, right? And the middle way is, again, not extreme, but really following our true nature, following our conscience. Okay, then we are, that childlike innocence that we had. Our Buddha nature has that childlike innocence, purity. Be mindful of the principle. Okay, so here these are like the main, you can say the main principles that it's talking about here in the Tao Te Ching. Okay, be mindful of the.
Chapter 36?
Right, this is chapter 36 in the Tao Te Ching. All right, so be mindful of the principle or nature of pull or contraction and push and expansion. Okay, in the Tao Te Ching it says that basically contraction must be preceded by expansion. Okay.
Is that Derek Williams?
No, this I reworded. This is kind of my own wording, but that the gentle or the soft can overcome the aggressive and hard. Okay, must not be underestimated. Right? We mentioned that earlier about the soft overcomes the hard. Right? The gentle overcomes the aggressive. That's true in nature. I mean, on the surface it seems, wow, if I'm more stronger than you, I can beat you up. But in martial arts, you learn that it's not force against force. You use soft, subtle ways to overcome the force, the stronger force. Okay, so that's also following this principle of Tao. All right. So be mindful of the principle of nature of weakness and strength. Okay, so that the weak can triumph over the strong is not empty talk. Okay, so again, this is. We see this, we view, unfortunately, it's a perspective, really, how we view things. We tend to view, brute force can is stronger than, it will overcome things. But yet, what is more powerful than, physical force, right? Actually, the most powerful force is something that's very soft. It's compassion. That is the most powerful force in the world. What we might call love, right? That is more powerful than any other force there is. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a reason why we tend to think of strength is always better than weakness, because that's it seems intuitive, right? Obvious. But what Lao Tzu is trying to say is that because we are in this material world, even strength or brute force or whatever is not permanent. It's not permanent. It's not permanent. Yeah, you can win. I can beat you up, or we can win. We can occupy this country with that. The question is, can you keep that forever? That's the question. Look at Iraq. Yeah, we beat up Saddam Hussein. Yeah, we could kick their butts. Yeah, no problem. No problem. That's no problem. We're stronger. We have the best military. We're a superpower. What's happening now? It's disintegrating. It's disintegrating because we left. We cannot keep it up. There's Americans willing to stay there for 100 years? Are you willing? Are you willing to send your sons and daughters, your granddaughters, your grandchildren, your great-great-grandchildren to be in Iraq, boots on the ground, right? Iraq for 100 years. That's how the question is, can you keep that up? You cannot. Look at history. No empire. Even the Mongols, right? Kublai Khan, Genghis Khan, world's most powerful military, well, cavalry is really that. They conquered the biggest planet. Can they keep that up? They lasted barely 50, 60 years. 2-3 generations, they're gone. So the strength is not permanent. So we got to be careful, okay? And to well, like I said, what is soft? Why softness? Because compassion. What is compassion? Compassion is permanent. Compassion is permanent. The compassion from Jesus. Why do people still believe in Jesus? Because he talked about love, right? He talked about love. The Buddhists talk about compassion. 2,600 years ago, we still follow him. Why is it people don't follow Genghis Khan now? Hitler, whoever, I don't know, whatever. All these mighty generals, warriors. Because they don't last. You see what I'm saying? So compassion is more permanent. And why? Compassion is closer to what our Buddha nature is. What you can say the natural principle or the true principle of that. It's closer. I mean, I don't want to say it just is, but really it's higher. But I don't want to go there. But really, compassion is close. It's very close. It's much closer than brute force. So that's the difference. Yeah. That's why the underlying fundamental reason, principle, is that soft or weakness or can overcome strength is because of that.
Yeah. I mean, you can, you can physically conquer, but you can't. That physical strength does not conquer their hearts and minds. Okay.
Right.
Only the soft, the compassion, the love can conquer someone's heart and mind, can change their heart and mind, and affect them more permanently. All right. So that's what that is. All right. So okay. So be mindful of the principal nature of abandonment and excitement or interest. Okay.
The second phrase, the fish does not.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
no,
it can,
it's true.
yeah,
It
it does not. It
came from God.
cannot. It cannot leave the water.
Yeah.
Right.
And because why? Fish needs water to survive.
Right. Yeah.
A fish is going to be dead if you bring it out of the water, right? So also what the implied meaning is that we humans also cannot deviate from the Tao.
Right.
Otherwise,
Leads to destruction.
yeah, will lead
Death.
to destruction or samsara. From
Yeah,
Buddha's
right.
perspective, it will be samsara. Okay, makes sense? Right?
Yeah.
Just like a fish cannot leave the water.
Right. Yeah. Right. So yeah. I mean, so all these principles that we talk about, we cannot leave these principles. Okay. So all right. So
you can.
I mean, yeah. Well, you're gonna
Yeah.
suffer the
Yeah,
consequence.
you'll suffer
Okay.
the consequence.
Right. Right. So be mindful of the principle nature of give and take. Okay. The potency and value of a good tool or instrument is not lost when it's hidden, concealed. Okay. So, well, yeah. I mean, well, and we don't want to show. Again, yeah. One way to interpret this is that, yeah, just like our Buddha nature, our virtue, is it's that good tool and instrument, that excellent tool. But we don't flaunt it. We don't say be so arrogant or say, oh, look, I can do I have all these abilities. I can do all this stuff. The Buddha never said, all these enlightened beings. They're already enlightened, but they never, flaunt it and show off and say, oh, look how enlightened I am, how wise I am. Follow me. Yeah. It's never like that, right? So we don't show that. So that's why it's the subtle light, right? Subtle brightness that's within us. Okay, we don't necessarily show it. We show it through our virtues, of course, through our actions. But people see that. They see it through our virtues. All right, but we don't flaunt it. All right. Okay. Let's see. All right. So here, but ordinary people, right? They don't really see the true reality. All right. So these last 4 lines that we're talking about what the true reality is. Weak overcoming the strong, etc. Soft overcoming the hard. That's the true reality. But people don't see it that way. They see the opposite. Okay. So when we conduct ourselves according to these principles, right, it's seemingly contrary to what most people believe to be what we should be doing, right? Just like we were talking about all day today. But it's actually based on the Tao, these principles of nature. And so, it's this conduct is based on these principles of the opposites or duality or complementarity, whatever you want to call it. And so, when you have one, it's, we have this yin yang, this opposites. We always tend to try to say, we pick one is stronger, that looks stronger, appears to be stronger or better than the other. And yet, it's probably not intuitive that it's the other way around, actually. Okay,
So that's what that second half means.
Right.
Right?
So-
Either, it's not way. It just means conduct that's seeming contrary, which is
Right.
referring to those principles on the 4 previous lines.
Yeah.
See the second to the last, give and take. That's very, fundamental.
Right.
It's give and take.
Yeah.
It's also either contention or cooperation. I mean, it could mean that, right? Give and take.
Right.
So it's just like saying, people say, I always want to get, I always want to take.
Right.
But you have to realize that in order to have love, receive love, you must give love.
Right.
I mean, same idea. So it's the
Right.
same principle.
Yeah.
It's always better to give than to take.
Well,
That's
but
true,
yeah,
too.
when you give, you
Right.
naturally will get. So there's
that's
no
the-
need
that's
to
the idea,
force,
that's the principle.
say,
Right.
seize something. And I want this, I'll take it myself. But if you give, naturally you'll be given.
You really can
So,
receive by giving.
yeah, right.
That's really
That's really the key. Part of that principle.